it's amazing to realize it's 4 years since we had the last I-Astrologer.
I can't believe it.
Isn't it? Yeah. It was 2018. So the first question I wanted to ask you is if you could go back in your mind, 4 years when you were debating over, should I go to this conference or not? Can you just go through your thought processes a little to help anybody else who might be wavering about making this decision?
Sure. Let's see. Okay, so it was 2018,
Yeah.
and I had already that year done a bunch of travel, and so it really was on my. I wanted to do it. I wanted to do the I-Astrologer, but I was thinking about it, weighing, whether it would be worthwhile to do another week-long, trip conference, and I what really was the clincher for me was the idea that you got to be around other professional astrologers, that you got to be in the same room with all of these amazing, really established, like brilliant people. And you'd get time with them,
Yeah.
even going to a conference, even going to a week-long conference, you kind of, you can maybe bump into some speakers or sometimes have the opportunity, but it's not like this. This is it was really different. It's really focused, and you really get one-on-one time with the mentors and the teachers. And that's what really changed my mind about it.
Good. And it'll be different this year because we have to, do the majority of it online, the circumstances. And I guess because we're online, we're able to expand it quite, like this with so many speakers, and the fact that you're now a part of it.
Which is so amazing. I mean, it's so amazing and such an honor to be asked back. It meant the world to me, honestly.
Good.
Honestly, I didn't even have to think twice about it because it's just such an honor.
Good. And let me see if I can go in the right direction here. And then we have, your quote. And that letter was so important to open. And when you wrote that you said how it had made, and it.
Well, it really did.
Yeah.
There really isn't another program like it, and we've all been, a lot of it is online, and it's so comprehensive this year. So what I didn't get access to, back, what's better this year actually is that there's so much more that's covered in this program. It's there's actually, and in terms of the scholarships available, there's much more. I don't think that when I'm not sure, but I can't remember for my program, there wasn't as large a monetary, scholarship.
No, they were much smaller, and so this year, where you said, let's up it with the grants.
I knew that the folks on the committee and the whole organization were rooting for everyone. They really wanted everyone to do well, and so many people did. It wasn't just me who got a scholarship; it was many people, and so it really, it made a difference. It made a difference in my life. It helped kind of launch everything.
Yeah.
And now these are significant.
Look at these. Yes, we've got the 4 most promising who are going to split the 10,000. We've got research, which I don't think anybody has ever, acknowledged how important research is in astrology. And then we have art, and we have a separate slide for that even. And once you see, I need help with this. You're on the panel who's going to help decide the art grant. And
yes.
This is a whole new concept for people.
Well, art in astrology, there could be a question of like, why do we spend time with art, or what does art have to do with astrology? And if we think back, historically, art and mythology have been so integrally sort of intertwined throughout history, and that we get a lot of our ideas about mythology through artistic representations that have persisted throughout history. And so continuing that, it seems to be an important thing to do. continuing the idea that we, infuse art with a sense of mythology and symbolism, and that's a worthwhile thing to do. Art gives us the ability to see in different ways, and
Yes.
as astrologers, that's a lot of what we're doing is we're trying to peer into something very mysterious and pull out useful information. So it's kind of it's both Saturn and Jupiter in Pisces in a way.
Yes.
And this astrology and art grant really helps to further that, I think.
Yes. And you're on the committee, so you're going to be able to be one of the judges and to get that the sense and the feeling,
Yes.
of who. It's going to be hard, I would expect, to figure out who's going to be the winner. Yeah.
It is going to be hard because art can be so subjective, and but we do have, so on the art application, we do have very specific guidelines that are helpful. And so it's really important to follow those guidelines to have the best chance at this astrology and art grant. But also just engaging in the process, whether you win or not, you're contributing to something. You're contributing to a community of astrology and art, really the beginning of that. So I'm really excited to see where this goes beyond this astrology and art grant, which is a start. But this is a very exciting moment in astrology.
Yes. And it's also another way of merging astrology into the mainstream. Here's your slide, and you're going to talk about public speaking. And this one is going to be on May 15th. And this is really important. If you'd like to say a few words about your talk.
Well, my talk is going to be about crafting your proposal to be invited to speak at conferences and other speaking opportunities, and how you can stand out, how you can craft not only the talk itself, but we're going to get really nitty gritty around the talk titles, the talk description content, how to create something catchy that is different, that grabs the reader's attention, that grabs the conference. It's really conference organizers. But not only that, we're going to talk a little more philosophically kind of about your orientation and what you're bringing to astrology, because your unique voice is what will be so attractive and is the differentiating factor. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to cultivate your own voice and stand out from the crowd. And yeah.
And it's very different now because there is, talking online, talking into your computer, which is one thing, and then standing up in front of a whole bunch of people. Because I have so many, clients and people, when I talk about public speaking, who say, oh, I can't do that. I could never do that. It gets me so scared. So what would you have to say to them?
Well, I had the opposite problem. Yeah. My first talk, I felt so comfortable in front of the group. And then when I did my first online talk, it was terrifying. It was for some reason, it was reversed for me. So I think what I would say is, no matter what camp you're in or how you feel about it, it just takes practice.
And then on April 3rd, you're giving the first of your marketing talks, which is, technology and tools, which is also extremely important, because when I read your bio, you're very well versed. Seems.
Yeah. So I'm a technology consultant, a web designer, and what we call a UX designer, user experience designer, in my other career. And we're going to talk about the kind of cutting edge technology tools you can use for marketing that are easy to use. There's a whole kind of revolution right now in easy to use marketing tools that all tie together to create platforms that will really help you in your marketing efforts. And we're going to talk about community building, the best website building tools, marketing management and automation, social media automation tools, some graphic design basics and principles, and a lot more. The first section will be online.
Yes.
And what I want to do with that is get a sense of where everybody is and what their capabilities are. And then I'm going to really tailor it when we go together in person in Tucson, so that, you know, we can spend some really good specific time answering questions and developing your marketing tools strategy. So
Wow.
that's kind of, yeah, that's the program.
Good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And so before we know it, we'll be there and I'll get to see you in Tucson.
That will be great. Yeah, I
that'll
can't
be
wait
so
to see
much.
people in person.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah, and be there. And, you know, I just spoke to Gemini and he'll be taking us out under the sky. Did you do that last time?
Yeah, that was
Wasn't
so
that terrific? Yeah.
that was so fun.
Anything else you'd want to say to
I would
people
just say,
who are listening to this,
yeah.
who, you know, want to know your experience?
Well, I would just say, do this for yourself. That's how I approached it. I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this OPA experience, this I-Astrologer. I'm doing it for my life and for myself. It's an investment. And it really has paid off in numerous ways for me. And I think it will. And I've seen it pay off for others who were in my cohort at the same time. So it's really worthwhile. And I encourage everyone who's interested to do it.